Hi guys, Paul Hughes versus Usman Nurmagomedov. What an amazing fight. Exceeded all the expectations. Great display of technique, great display of sportsmanship, great display of heart throughout the whole fight. They both went 5 rounds. Terrible judging, really terrible. Can't emphasize any more on this. And there were a lot of fouls in the match. So we're actually gonna have to. I'll actually start with the judging. So all three judges had different scorecards. So the first judge comes up with the scorecard of 50-45, which is insane. You can see the look of disbelief on Paul Hughes' face when that judge comes up with 50-45 scorecard, and did not even make any sense. Like 50-45 means that Usman Nurmagomedov won every single round, round 1 to round 5. Now, I'm a big Usman Nurmagomedov fan, but I don't think he won every single round. I think the best case scenario actually you could have for him is 3-2. I don't think he won more than 3 rounds. It was a very close fight. Could have gone either way, but 3-2. So because if you're gonna have to score the rounds, right? The round 1 has to go to Usman. There's no other way. He landed more strikes. He was more faster. He was more. I would say more consistent with what he was doing. It was more active. Round 2 is the one where there's a bit of controversies. When I was watching the fight live, I gave it to Paul Hughes, but watching it back, I think Usman actually won the round. But that's a tricky one. Round 3 is Paul Hughes. There's no debate about it. So round 4 actually Usman. Round 4, you could have gone either way, but I would say Usman. And then round 5 is where the controversy is again. Could have gone either way to me, but I think after watching the fight back, round 5 could have gone to Paul Hughes. Usman landed he did have some nice takedowns. He did like a full-on slam takedown. But Hughes literally dropped him in round 5. So that you're going to have to give it to him. But round 2 is where a lot of debate is. And I think that should have gone to Usman, close round. But again, when there was like low blows happening, I know they were unintentional, but that was 3 times that there was no point deduction. There was 2 headbutts. And if there was like a point deduction over there, that fight could have very well been a draw. So that's what we need to think about. Like the fights, every time it happens in Dubai and there's like a guy from the Muslim fighters fighting, and I'm a Muslim myself, but it's quite biased, I would say. The judging is quite biased. And it's not even about that. I think because Usman is Khabib's cousin, they're also trying to give Khabib a lot of screen time, and he's got undefeated record. So they are trying to portray him as like the main character of the PFL. And I think it's good to have a rival sometimes where you can have a scoring that is like 48-47, or like you have 47. So you could tell the tales of like 2 legends, 2 great fighters were fighting. In 10 years, you're going to be able to tell that. But now it makes his adversary looks really bad when you're giving a scorecard of like 50-45. And if they were fully impartial, it would have been 48-47 or 47. So yeah, you can see they're trying to give Khabib screen time. Even after the fight, they invited Khabib to they asked Khabib a few questions, wanted him to say, get the mic. So the other scorecard was 49-46. Again, to me, that's not a good scorecard. I don't want to see anything other than 48-47 or 47. That was not a good scorecard. And that scorecard that they came up with initially is actually wrong, because they mathematically did it wrong. They gave all 5 rounds to, they gave 10 points to Usman for 5 rounds. So that should be 50. That should not be 50, 40. Yeah, that should not be 49-46. That should be 50-46. And with Hughes, they did first 4 rounds as like 9. So Hughes lost the first 4 rounds, and the 5 rounds is 10 as like a draw. So even mathematically, they couldn't add it up properly. And they were doing it on the sheet. So they were not actually writing the scores. They're like typing it. I think they're making all sorts of errors. And 48-47, that's a reasonable scorecard. But even in the 48-47 scorecard, they had 1 round to Usman for like 10-8. I don't know if they messed it up, if that was like a mistake, or if that's what they thought. None of the rounds were 10-8. To me, none of the rounds were 10-8. Okay, now move to the fight, like the actual fight, the technique of the fight, right? Usman did come up with a good wrestling game plan. But in the first fight, he's mostly doing the striking. He's trying to stay outside, so he's playing pretty much the game that he actually played in the first fight. But he did more southpaw in this fight, I would say. So, and I felt like orthodox was actually working better for him, because when he was turning southpaw, he was getting hit more. And when he was playing orthodox, his cross was landing really nicely. And he's got a really nice cross where he's got long reach. He's a tall boy. But when he extends himself and then he puts his full body and like his arms into it, he gets a really long extended reach. And that's when he lands across. And it lands perfectly. It's pretty fast as well, hard to see. And then his jab was landing constantly. So he was doing that very well. And in the first round, he started the same thing with like the leg kicks. He's landing those. He's just being more active. And like, I'll squeeze the first round off Paul Hughes. Second round, Hughes was kind of coming back. He was landing a lot of combinations. So one thing I liked about Hughes is that he's very good at throwing combinations. So he's not showing 1 or 2 shots. He's going for head body hunting. And then Hughes has some like nice leg kicks too, powerful leg kicks that he was doing. That could actually, you could see that Usman was stumbling after the leg kick sometimes. And then Usman had, one thing I would say, Usman had really nice entries. Like, I loved his entries even in the first fight, but I would say in this fight, his entries were really nice for the takedowns. The shoots that he was doing, every time there was an opportunity and he wanted to shoot, he was going for it. And we was so good at getting the back, so quick. Like, he might, out of all the Nurmagomedovs, he might have the best wrestling entries, just the entries, right? When it comes to like getting the back entries, he wasn't able to fully get the back where he's not able to get both of the hooks in, so he's having trouble with that. Paul Hughes' defense was on point. He, even when Usman is on his back, he's calm. He's able to get him off, shake him, or like move around. And then even when Usman was taking him down, like on the floor, his defense was really good. He hit a very good scramble in the last round. But he's able to get up every single time. I would say Usman's ground control is probably not the best. That's the thing that I see. Like, it's not as good as like Khabib or Makhachev, but they're on top of you and they're just staying on top of you, and they can move to a different position. With him, it's kind of like basic wrestling. He takes you down. With wrestling is quite advanced actually. Like the trip that he got in the fourth round of the fifth round, he got a single leg and then he tripped the other leg, and he had the arm over the shoulder. That was really nice. And so entries was, he's really nice, but he needs to improve his ground code. He needs to be able to move to certain positions, and he needs to do a bit more chain wrestling. He's not a chain wrestling guy. Like, every time he was able to get up, it's not like he was trying to take him down again. He's taking a bit of gap. Whereas with, like, if you see with like Hamzat or like Khabib, as soon as the person's trying to get down, they're changing the position, they're shifting their position, and they're taking them down again, right? Or on the ground with BJJ, they're doing something. So that thing he probably needs to work on, because he could have realized that a bit more. But one other thing that Usman was doing really good is like when Paul Hughes was actually lowering his level down. And now here's the thing. Hughes was doing one thing really good when Usman was actually shooting for the takedown. But Usman was lowering his level just to like fake the takedown, or just lowering himself for the shoot. If Paul Hughes could see it, he was going down with him. So he was lowering his stance. And that's the way that you actually did. We've seen that with Jack Della Maddalena against Bilal. He was able to do that. And that neglects the wrestling of your opponent to some extent. Because now he's going to have to come up with a different opportunity. He's going to have to be a bit more slick, right? So every time that he fakes or he goes down, you go down with him. So you're kind of going down, you're lowering your stances. And the good thing about that is because you're not fully sprawling, so you can still punch. So you can go down and you can still come up with like the shots, body shots or something else. Like, this is what Hughes was doing. He did that very well. Actually, he was able to catch Usman a couple of times. When he would lower, he would level down. He would throw a lot of shots after that. And then Usman, he adjusted to that. And what he started doing is like, he started doing a knee. So every time Hughes was going down, he would do a knee. And Hughes also has the habit of going down because he also likes to do body shots, and he likes to throw his whole power into it, which is an amazing thing that he does actually. Hughes, his body shots are amazing. He carries a power in every single punch, whether it's a headshot or a body shot. And you could see this guy actually has trained with Ilya. Like the way Ilya, you could see when he's throwing every punch, it's like the technique is there. Throwing his shoulders, body into it. He was doing exactly the same thing. But Usman adjusted very well. He was throwing the knee every time Hughes was going down. And by the way, Hughes did the same thing that there too. Like, he's going down by the times when he timed the knee. I think second round maybe, when he timed a beautiful knee on Usman, and then he caught him right after that with like a jab. No, it was like a hook. It was like a right hook and a left hook that he caught him with. So that was really nice. Another thing I would have picked on is like Usman's entries of, yeah. So Usman, when he takes Hughes down or he gets his back, Ben Hughes is about to leave. Ben Hughes is about to get up. I mean, Usman thinks that he's not going to have any more connection with Hughes. Then his exits were amazing. It's like he was prepared for it. So where I'm saying that he's not doing chain wrestling, at the same time, he's not doing chain wrestling because he doesn't want to do chain wrestling. He probably thinks that his control is not that good. So anytime there's about to be an exit, he just exits immediately. He either flies out of it or lowers his levels down and just get out of it because he doesn't want to get hit with an exit shot. Because in the first fight, I think in the exit, Hughes was able to hit him with like a couple of, he was able to hit him with body shots. He was also able to hit him with like a elbow to the head. So he didn't want to get hit with those shots. So that was a good adjustment made by him. And yeah, overall, it was good. It was technically a very good fight, a lot of action packed. But I would have loved to see a bit less fouls in that fight, because there were like 5 times that the action got stopped. And every time the action was getting stopped, it's like the Hughes wasn't the same guy afterwards. It's like they're catching the breath, right? So it's like they have to pick up the rhythm again. So the rhythm breaks, and not particularly for Hughes, but probably for Usman as well. But because Usman is a wrestler guy, so every time there's an exit after that, he's able to take him down somehow. Yeah, I think so. I think there should have been more action. There should have been more consistent action, which we couldn't get because almost in every single round there was some sort of foul. And when there was a foul, there was like 2-3 minutes break. Then the guys get the time to breathe, and then there's like rhythm breaks, and then they have to take time to get back into rhythm. So I would have loved to see a bit less of that, but a bit more of like accurate judging. And by the way, the guy who came up with 50-45 scorecard, he doesn't even have good repetition. I don't remember the name of the guy, but he's known for those type of scorecards. So if the guy has a repetition like this, I think there should be some sort of at least an investigation, at least some sort of accountability for that. Because if there is no accountability for the judges, they could always do that. And with a fight of that magnitude, where you have two of the best PFL fighters fighting, where these lightweights are potentially the top lightweights in the whole world, they could very well hang with like Ilya Topuria. Yeah. Although I do think Ilya at the moment is probably the best lightweight. He's the best. I think if you put these lightweights in the UFC, they'll be top five. I certainly believe they would be top five. I would put Ilya as top, maybe Usman as two, and then Hughes as third. Or like maybe Ilya first, Arman second. So it will be between Ilya, Arman, Hughes, and Usman. They all belong in top five.